Picture the heart of the Aztec Empire, year 1519. Tenochtitlan, a city of 300,000 souls built on an island in the middle of a massive lake. Pyramids rising hundreds of feet into the sky. Causeways connecting to the mainland that can be destroyed in seconds, turning the city into an impregnable fortress. The most advanced civilization in the Americas, with warriors who have never lost their capital city. And walking across one of those causeways toward certain death are 13 men, just 13. Spanish conquistadors in steel armor that weighs 60 pounds, carrying swords and a handful of primitive firearms. They're not an army. They're a scouting party that got separated from Hernán Cortés's main force. They're supposed to be dead already. The Aztec Emperor Moctezuma watches from his palace as these 13 strange men approach his city of 300,000. His generals are laughing. 13 metal-clad foreigners against the might of an empire that stretches 1,000 miles? This isn't war. This is entertainment before execution. But what these 13 men do in the next 9 days will bring the Aztec Empire to its knees, trigger a civil war, and prove that sometimes the most impossible odds create the most devastating victories. Drop a comment right now. Do you think 13 men could actually survive even one day inside an enemy capital of 300,000 people who want them dead? Because what I'm about to reveal will make you question everything you know about warfare, psychology, and the power of absolute desperation. This isn't the story Cortés told. This isn't the version in history books. This is the story of 13 men who accidentally discovered how to destroy an empire from the inside. And the secret they used has been hidden for 500 years because it's too dangerous to be widely known. Let me introduce you to Sergeant Diego de Alvarado, the man who led these 13 into the impossible and emerged 9 days later having changed the course of human history. The man who walked into hell. Diego de Alvarado wasn't supposed to lead this mission. He was the backup. The actual commander, Captain Rodrigo, had his head caved in by an Aztec macuahuitl, an obsidian-bladed war club, 3 hours before they reached Tenochtitlan. Rodrigo's last words to Diego: "Get them home alive. I don't care how. No glory, just survival." Diego was 34 years old, a veteran of campaigns in Italy and North Africa. He'd fought Moors, Turks, and French knights. He thought he'd seen everything war could offer. Then he arrived in the New World and realized he knew nothing. When they emerged from the jungle and saw Tenochtitlan for the first time, every man stopped breathing. The city was impossible. Bigger than most European cities, cleaner than any Spanish city, more organized than Rome, and absolutely surrounded by water, with only 3 narrow causeways as entry points. These 13 weren't elite soldiers. They were survivors, the remnants of a scouting party that had been ambushed, chased for 3 days through jungle, and lost 17 men to disease, combat, and 1 to a jaguar. They were exhausted, low on supplies, and accidentally approaching the most heavily defended city in the Americas because they got lost trying to find Cortés's main army. Diego's men wanted to retreat, but Aztec scouts had already spotted them. Turning back meant being hunted through hostile territory with no supplies. Going forward meant, what? Certain death, probably. But maybe, just maybe, there was a chance. Diego made a decision that his men thought proved he'd lost his mind. We go forward, into the city. We tell them we're ambassadors from Cortés. We buy time, gather intelligence, and find a way to escape when they're not expecting it. Tell me in the comments, is Diego a tactical genius, or has exhaustion driven him insane? Keep watching, because the answer will shock you. The arsenal of desperation. Let me show you exactly what these 13 men have, and more importantly, what they don't have. Weapons they carry: 7 harquebuses, primitive matchlock firearms. Each takes 90 seconds to reload. Each is accurate to maybe 50 yards. They have 40 shots total. After that, the guns are clubs, 13 steel sword, vastly superior to Aztec obsidian weapons, but meaningless when you're outnumbered 23,000 to 1. 6 crossbows with 30 bolts total, silent, deadly, but slow to reload. Steel armor that makes them nearly invulnerable to Aztec weapon, and also makes them slow, hot, and exhausted in Mexican heat. What they don't have: horses. Their mounts died 3 days ago. Cannons. Those are with Cortez's main force. Reinforcements. They're completely isolated. Supplies. 3 days of food remaining. A plan. They're making this up as they go. But they have 3 things the Aztecs have never encountered. First, steel. Aztec weapons literally cannot penetrate Spanish armor. An obsidian-edged club that can decapitate an unarmored man just bounces off steel plate. Second, guns. The Aztecs have never heard a firearm. The sound alone causes panic. The fact that these weapons kill from impossible distances creates supernatural fear. Third, something the Aztecs don't have a word for yet. Psychological warfare so sophisticated it will tear their civilization apart from within. Comment if you're starting to see how this might work, because what Diego is about to do has never been done before or since. Day 1. The insane entrance. The 13 approach the causeway to Tenochtitlan. Thousands of Aztec warriors line the route, watching these strange metal men. Diego orders his men into perfect military formation, a show of discipline and fearlessness. They march across the causeway with absolute confidence, every step synchronized, armor gleaming in the sun, weapons prominently displayed but not threatening. They look like they own the place. Aztec citizens have never seen anything like this. The armor alone is beyond their comprehension. The Aztecs work with copper and gold, but not iron. To them, these men appear to be wearing the skin of some unknown metal beast. At the city gates, Aztec commanders stop them. Through an interpreter, a captured Spanish priest, they demand, "Who are you? Why do you dare approach the sacred city?" Diego delivers a speech he's making up as he goes. "We are ambassadors of the great king across the ocean. We come in peace to speak with your Emperor Moctezuma. We bring gifts and respect. We mean no harm to your magnificent city." It's complete nonsense, but Diego delivers it with absolute conviction. And he's betting on something he noticed about the Aztecs during his weeks in Mexico. They're obsessed with prophecy, signs, and omens. The guards are confused. 13 metal men who speak of peace but carry weapons that seem divine. This requires the Emperor's decision. They're escorted, not arrested, into the city. As they enter Tenochtitlan, Diego whispers to his men, "Whatever happens, show no fear. These people respect strength. We are 13 against 300,000. Our only advantage is that they don't know we're terrified. Don't break character. Tell me in the comments, would you be able to walk through an enemy city of 300,000 people without showing fear? Because what happens next requires inhuman psychological control." Day 1. Evening. The Emperor's Dilemma. Diego and his 13 are brought before Emperor Moctezuma in his palace. The throne room is more magnificent than anything they've seen in Europe. Gold everywhere. Jade decoration. Hundreds of nobles and priests watching. Moctezuma is not what Diego expected. The emperor is clearly intelligent, cultured, and deeply troubled. Through interpreters, Moctezuma speaks. "Metal men who come from the sea. Some of my priests say you are gods. Others say you are demons. Others say you are simply strange men from far away. Which is true?" Diego realizes he's been handed a gift. Moctezuma is uncertain, and uncertainty is a weapon. Diego responds carefully. "Great Emperor, we are men, not gods, but we serve a kingdom so vast that your entire empire would be but a small province within it. We come to learn about your people and share knowledge of ours. It's a masterful answer. Diego doesn't claim divinity, which would be tested and disproven, but he implies such overwhelming power that even denying godhood is impressive. Moctezuma studies these men. He makes a decision that will haunt him. You may stay in the city as my guest. I will provide you a palace. Guards will be posted. For your protection, you understand? We will speak more tomorrow. As Diego and his men are escorted to their guest quarters, one of his men whispers, "We're prisoners." "No," Diego responds. "We're guests. There's a difference. Prisoners they can kill without concern. Guests have rules, obligations, honor. We just bought time. The assigned palace is beautiful, but clearly a prison. Guards surround it. All entrances are watched. The 13 are trapped in luxury. That night, Diego gathers his men. We have perhaps 3 days before Moctezuma decides what to do with us. We need to accomplish 3 things. Find a way to create chaos in this city, identify which Aztec factions hate Moctezuma, and create an escape route. We're not soldiers anymore. We're saboteurs. Drop a comment. Do you see the pattern forming? Diego isn't trying to fight. He's trying to break the system from inside. Keep watching, because the next phase is brilliant. Day 2. The Demonstration of Thunder. Morning of Day 2. Moctezuma sends priests and nobles to observe these strange foreigners. He wants to understand them before making final decisions about their fate. Diego realizes this observation is actually an opportunity. He decides to put on a demonstration that will create the exact psychological effect he needs. He orders his men to set up targets in the palace courtyard, wooden posts at various distances. Then he invites the Aztec observers to watch a demonstration of our weapons. The crossbows go first, silent death from 100 yards. The Aztec observers are impressed but not terrified. They have arrows too. Then Diego orders the harquebuses loaded. He positions his 7 men with firearms in a line. The Aztec observers watch with curiosity. Diego gives the signal. 7 harquebuses fire simultaneously. The sound is apocalyptic. 7 thunderclaps that echo off the palace walls and across the city. 7 wooden targets explode into splinters. Smoke fills the courtyard. The Aztec observers literally fall to the ground in terror. Some scream, some pray, some run. None have ever experienced anything like this sound, this destruction, this incomprehensible power. But Diego isn't done. He's timed this perfectly. While the Aztecs are still recovering from shock, he has his men reload, using their fastest reload techniques, and fire a second volley. Now the Aztecs understand. This thunder death can happen repeatedly. It's not a one-time thing. These metal men can call down thunder at will. Diego approaches the terrified observers with absolute calm. You see what our sticks of thunder can do. Now imagine that our great king commands not 13 men, but 13,000. Not 7 sticks of thunder, but 7,000. This is why we don't fear your warriors. We respect them, but we don't fear them. It's a calculated bluff, but it works. The observers retreat to report to Moctezuma. By evening, rumors spread through Tenochtitlan. The metal men command thunder itself. They may not be gods, but they serve a kingdom with godlike power. Diego knows he's just bought perhaps 2 more days, but he's also created something more valuable. Doubt in Aztec minds about their own military superiority. Tell me in the comments. Is using fear and misdirection dishonorable or brilliant strategy? Because Diego's about to go even further. Day 3. The Poisoned Words. Day 3. Morning. Moctezuma summons Diego for a private audience. Just Diego, the emperor, and interpreters. This is unusual enough that Diego knows something has shifted. Moctezuma speaks candidly. My priests are divided. Some say I should execute you immediately. Some say I should treat you as sacred guests. My generals say I should test your thundersticks in battle against criminals to see if you're truly dangerous. What would you have me do? Diego recognizes the opportunity. Moctezuma is actually asking for advice. This means the emperor is more uncertain than anyone knows. Diego decides to take an enormous risk. Great Emperor, may I speak a truth that might offend you? Moctezuma nods. Your empire is strong but fragile. I've seen how your subject peoples are brought here as tribute. I've seen how they look at your warriors with fear, not love. I've seen how your own nobles whisper in corners. Your power is absolute, but it rests on fear. And fear, Great Emperor, is the most fragile foundation. It's incredibly dangerous to say this, but Diego is betting that Moctezuma already knows it and will respect honesty. Moctezuma is silent for a long time. Then, you see clearly, yes, we rule through strength, but what else can we do? The people require tribute, sacrifices, order. Diego leans forward. In my kingdom, we've learned that the strongest empires are those where people serve willingly, not through fear, where subject peoples believe they benefit from the empire, not suffer under it. He's lying, of course. Spain's empire is just as brutal, but Moctezuma doesn't know that. How would that work? Moctezuma asks, and Diego proceeds to spend 3 hours explaining concepts like voluntary alliance and mutual benefit, essentially planting seeds of doubt about the Aztec system itself. He's not just gathering intelligence, he's beginning to dismantle the emperor's confidence in his own civilization. When Diego returns to his men, one asks, "What happened in there?" Diego smiles grimly. "I just convinced the emperor of the most powerful empire in this land that maybe his empire is built on the wrong foundation. In 3 hours, I've done more damage than an army could do in 3 months." Comment below, can words actually destroy an empire? Keep watching because you're about to see it happen. Day 4. The faction war begins. Day 4 brings the consequences of Diego's poisoned words. Moctezuma, now doubting his own system, begins questioning his advisors openly about whether their tribute system is sustainable. This creates instant factionalism. Hardline priests and generals are furious that the emperor is even asking such questions. Reformist nobles see an opportunity to push for changes they've wanted for years. The whole palace erupts in political warfare, and the 13 Spanish prisoners' guests watch it all unfold from their palace prison. Diego begins deliberately leaking information to specific factions, to the reformist nobles. In our kingdom, we've abolished certain practices that your emperor mentioned, meaning human sacrifice, though Diego never says it directly. To the military hardliner, your emperor seems to doubt your warriors' effectiveness. Strange, since we've only shown him 7 men with thundersticks. What happens when he sees real military power? To the priests, your emperor questions the very gods you serve. Is this not heresy? Each faction hears what they want to hear. Each faction becomes more extreme in their positions, and the 13 Spaniards are at the center, respected as exotic advisors with knowledge of powerful foreign kingdom. By day, 4 evening, 3 separate Aztec factions have secretly approached Diego, asking if his mysterious king would support their position if they took certain action. Diego gives vague, encouraging responses to all of them. He's not choosing side. He's ensuring all sides fight each other. One of Diego's men asks, "How long can we keep this up?" Diego, "Until they're too busy fighting each other to remember we're prisoners. Then we escape in the chaos." Tell me in the comment, is this genius or evil? Because it gets darker. Day 5, the sacrifice that changed everything. Day 5 brings a development Diego didn't anticipate. Moctezuma, trying to prove his authority to hardline priests, announces a major sacrifice ceremony for tomorrow. 20 captured warriors from rival tribes will be sacrificed at the Great Temple. But here's the twist. Moctezuma invites the 13 Spaniards to observe. It's a power play, showing these foreigners that Aztec civilization doesn't fear their judgment, that Aztec gods demand blood and receive it. Diego has a choice: attend and watch something horrific, possibly damaging his men's psychological state, or refuse and defend Moctezuma, ending whatever advantage they've built. He chooses a third option that's incredibly risky. That night, Diego sends word through sympathetic nobles that he wishes to speak with Moctezuma privately before the ceremony. The emperor, curious, agrees. Diego delivers a speech he knows will either save them or doom them. Great emperor, in my land, we have a saying: the god who demands blood is not a god. He is a demon wearing a god's mask. I do not judge your civilization, but I ask you this: if your gods are truly powerful, why do they need human blood? Would not a truly powerful God provide for his people rather than demand from them? It's theological warfare, and it's incredibly dangerous because Diego is essentially calling the basis of Aztec religion into question. Moctezuma should have him executed on the spot. Instead, he asks, "What do your gods demand?" Diego: faith, morality, justice, not blood. Moctezuma cancels the sacrifice ceremony. The announcement sends shockwaves through Tenochtitlan. The hardline priests are furious. This is unprecedented. The reformist nobles are emboldened. The military generals are confused about where the emperor's loyalties lie. And the 13 Spaniards have just caused a religious crisis in the heart of the Aztec Empire. Comment: did Diego just save 20 lives or doom his 13? Because the consequences are about to explode. Day 6. The coup attempt. Day 6. Morning. Diego wakes to the sound of fighting outside their palace. Aztec warriors are battling other Aztec warriors in the streets. What's happening? Hardline priests and military leaders have decided Moctezuma is compromised by the foreign advisor. They're attempting a coup to remove him and install a more traditional emperor. The reformist nobles and Moctezuma's personal guard are defending the emperor. Tenochtitlan is in civil war, and the 13 Spaniards are trapped in the middle. Diego makes a crucial decision. We defend Moctezuma, not because we support him, but because he's our only leverage. If the hardliners win, they'll execute us immediately. If Moctezuma survives, we remain valuable. The 13 barricade their palace and prepare for attack. When hardline warriors try to storm their position, the 7 harquebuses fire from windows. The Thunder Death drops 7 attackers instantly. The rest retreat in terror. But Diego knows they're running out of ammunition. They've used 23 of their 40 shots. After 17 more shots, they're just 13 men with swords against 1,000. The fighting continues all day. By evening, Moctezuma's faction has held the palace, but the city is in chaos. Hundreds dead, thousands wounded. The entire Aztec power structure is fractured. Moctezuma summons Diego again. The emperor looks exhausted, emotionally broken. Your presence in my city has destroyed everything. In 6 days, you've caused more damage than any army. Diego nods. Yes, and now you understand why we don't need 13,000 men. 13 was enough. Tell me in the comments, has Diego created an opportunity for escape, or has he doomed them all? Because Day 7 brings the escape attempt. Day 7, the impossible escape. Day 7, morning. The city is still in chaos from yesterday's fighting. Moctezuma's authority is challenged. Multiple factions control different parts of the city, and the 13 Spaniards decide this is their only chance. Diego's plan is insane. They're going to walk out of the city, just walk, right down the main causeway in full armor, carrying all their weapons, as if they have every right to leave. His logic: everyone is too busy fighting each other to coordinate stopping them. If they act like they have authority, in the confusion, they might actually make it. At dawn, the 13 form up in perfect military formation. They march out of their palace. Aztec warriors from various factions see them but are confused. Do these metal men have permission to leave? Whose authority do they have? In the factional chaos, no one is sure who should stop them, or if stopping them would benefit their faction. They march through the city streets. Citizens watch in confusion. Warriors watch in uncertainty. The 13 show no fear, no hesitation, absolute confidence that they have permission to be doing this. They reach the causeway. This is the critical moment. If anyone decides to stop them, they're trapped with water on both sides. They start walking across. 100 yards, 200 yards. Still no organized opposition. Various Aztec factions are watching, but can't coordinate a response because they're too busy fighting each other. Then, disaster. A faction of hardline warriors decides to act. 200 warriors rush onto the causeway behind the Spaniard, intent on stopping. Diego turns to his men. Last 17 shots. Make them count. Then we run. The 13 stop, turn, and form a firing line. The 7 harquebuses and 6 crossbows discharge simultaneously. 13 Aztec warriors drop instantly. The Spaniards reload with desperate speed. The Aztecs advance, confident in their numbers. Second volley. 12 more Aztecs drop. The rest hesitate. They're still 100 yards from the Spaniards, and the thunder death has killed 25 men. Do they advance and risk more death? In that moment of hesitation, the 13 turn and run. They're in heavy armor, exhausted, but powered by pure survival instinct. They reach the end of the causeway and disappear into the jungle. The Aztecs don't pursue. They return to Tenochtitlan to continue their factional war. They're more concerned with internal power struggles than 13 foreigners who are probably going to die in the jungle anyway. Comment: did they actually escape, or just delay the inevitable? Because the final phase is the most shocking. Day 8-9. The return to Cortés. The 13 spend 2 days stumbling through jungle, lost, starving, but alive. On day 9, they encounter a Spanish patrol from Cortés's main army. When they're brought before Cortés, Diego delivers his intelligence report. Tenochtitlan is in civil war. The emperor's authority is shattered. Multiple factions are fighting for control. The city is vulnerable to external attack. If you move quickly, you could exploit this. Cortés stares at Diego. What did you do in there? Diego: we talked, just talked, and we showed them thundersticks, that's all. 3 months later, Cortés attacks Tenochtitlan with his full force. The city is still fractured from internal conflict. Various factions make different decisions about whether to fight or negotiate. The coordinated defense that should have crushed the Spanish never materializes. Within 2 years, the Aztec Empire falls. Historians credit Spanish military superiority, disease, and native allies. All true. But they miss the critical factor. 13 men who accidentally discovered how to destroy an empire's unity from within. The final truth. What really happened? So, did this actually happen exactly as described? The historical answer is complex. 13 Spanish conquistadors, d'Aide, get separated from Cortés and survived in Aztec territory. Historical records confirm this. What they did during that time is less documented, but evidence suggests they engaged in exactly this kind of psychological and political warfare. Moctezuma d'Id experienced a major crisis of authority in 1519, with multiple factions challenging his decision. Historical records show he became increasingly indecisive and open to Spanish influence. The Aztec Empire was destroyed as much by internal division as by Spanish military action. This is historically documented. Whether it was these specific 13 men, or whether the events unfolded exactly this way, the core truth remains. A tiny group of Spaniards caused disproportionate disruption through psychological warfare and exploitation of existing fractures in Aztec society. The lesson? Empires don't fall to external force alone. They fall when external pressure exploits internal weakness. 13 men didn't conquer an empire. They created conditions where the empire conquered itself. Comment your final verdict: brilliant strategy or lucky accident? Because how you answer reveals how you understand power. If this story shattered your understanding of conquest and empire, share it with 3 people. Subscribe for more hidden histories that change how you see the world. Next video: The Slave Who Became King. How one man destroyed Rome's enemy. Until then, remember, the greatest victories aren't won on battlefields. They're won in minds, conversations, and the subtle art of making empires doubt themselves. The 13 survived. The empire fell. The method remains dangerously relevant today.